The Capitals trade Darcy Kuemper to the Los Angeles Kings for Pierre-Luc Dubois. How did we get here? I'll discuss next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, including the SiriusXM app and on YouTube. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. My name is Dan Holney. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minute Cast, available wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. And the best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe to Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. Ever dreamed of becoming an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise? Well, now you can with Ultimate Hockey GM. It's completely free, and Locked On listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On NHL in the game store. To download the game, just visit hockeygm.app or look it up on the App Store. Ultimate Hockey GM, start your dynasty today. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, we talk about the big trade yesterday for the Capitals and the Los Angeles Kings as the Capitals trade Darcy Kuemper to the Los Angeles Kings for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Straight up, 1-for-1. What were the Capitals thinking? And ultimately, what kind of player are the Kings getting in Darcy Kuemper? We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about how this whole thing happened in the first place. And that's Charlie Lindgren playing a huge role on the Capitals last season, proving to everyone, and most importantly to the GM of this team, Brian McClellan, that he is capable of being the number one netminder. A little bit later, we'll talk about how Hunter Shepard has a golden opportunity to really shine. We see what he's done with the Hershey Bears the last couple of years. You see what he's doing in the Calder Cup playoffs. This is an excellent opportunity for Shep Daddy to make a push to be the number 2 on the team. But just to get it going here, we will talk about how did we get where we are right now. And I guess what is Dan talking about when I say that? How did we get to the point where the Capitals are happy to be rid of Darcy Kuemper? If we want to rewind time here just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the Holtby era, and then Holtby got dealt out of town, and then it was Samsonov and Vitek Vanacek, and this team struggled in net. There would be times that Samsonov would be a little bit hot, and then Vanacek would be a little hot, but there was inconsistency that abounded around the Capitals organization. And what happened is that Brian McClellan made a bold move, and he didn't give a qualifying offer to Samsonov or Vitek Vanacek, saying, I am cutting ties with both of the netminders. And he swung for the fences and did something that a lot of Capitals fans didn't think he was going to be able to pull off. He signed Darcy Kuemper, Stanley Cup winning Darcy Kuemper, to right this ship. And he came to this team, and Charlie Lindgren was this obscure backup. Unless you are an extreme hockey nerd, chances are you had never heard of who Charlie Lindgren was. Well, then a couple seasons ago, what happened is that Darcy Kuemper faltered, and Charlie Lindgren was really hot in the month of December, kind of faded away. And this last season that we played last season here is that Darcy Kuemper posted some of his worst numbers in his entire career. Charlie Lindgren was the cream that rose to the surface and took the reins over for this team. And once he took control, he didn't let go. And that was really difficult for Darcy Kuemper, as we heard in videos on Breakdown Day, that, hey, I really worked on my game. I put in the effort with a goalie coach. I was in a good spot. I just never had an opportunity to show the team how much I improved. And that's how it all ended. And he maintained a positive attitude. There was a lot of chatter after the season talking about, well, how do you feel that you might get traded? And he said that I don't think about that kind of stuff. Until it actually happens, I don't think about it. Well, it happened. And the Capitals traded Stanley Cup winning Darcy Kuemper for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Let's be honest here. Who is that player here? Just to talk about him, he is a player that nobody else wanted. And it's a thing that the Kings wanted to get rid of him. They're like, how do we get rid of all this money? How would a team be willing to take him on? And we must get it done before July 1st. How are we going to be able to get that done? Well, the Capitals said, hey, we want to get rid of this Darcy Kuemper guy because he didn't play so well for us for one season. And we need that top six forward. And we know that Alex Ovechkin didn't have chemistry with the centers last year. So let's forget all the talk about how Pierre-Luc Dubois is toxic in the locker room. Let's forget about the fact that John Tortorella benched him because of his poor attitude and lackadaisical play, that he wasn't into the play. Let's look all past that. Let's look all past the fact that with the Kings, he was horrible last season. Leah, let's go ahead and take that on. Let's take on his huge salary. I understand we're subtract Darcy Kuemper, but he is going to be on the Capitals. He's under contract for quite some time. What were the Capitals thinking? It really makes me wonder. This is a leap of faith that I don't think I can leap that far. I am 6'5". My legs are very long. I don't think I can leap that far to think that this is going to be a good fit. Listen, I would love to be wrong. I would love Pierre-Luc Dubois to absolutely kill it. And it's a great relationship between Ovi and Pierre-Luc Dubois. And it's a match made in heaven. But I think that's a fever dream state to think that is a reality. And now the Capitals are on the hook for him for a long time. And you listen to the talking heads. You listen to Saravalli. You listen to Friedman. You listen to all of them. None of them think that this is a good deal. They're like, well, maybe in just kind of like this alternate reality, he'll find his former glory, but that is not the case. I think that he's got the size, he's got the skill, he just doesn't have the want to, and he's a guy that will pitch a fit if things don't go his way. But let's now talk about Darcy Kuemper and what is in it for the Kings. The Kings made off like they made off on this deal much better than the Capitals did. We know that for sure. The Capitals acquired center Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Los Angeles Kings in exchange for goalie Darcy Kuemper. Dubois, 25, will bring potential and skill to the team as a third highest paid player. The LA Kings acquired Kuemper from the Caps, resulting in a salary cap savings. Kuemper is expected to be the number one goalie for the Kings. In Washington, Lindgren and Hunter Shepard had strong performances in the goaltending position and looked to be the number one and number two option. That is how we got where we are. There is a leap of faith that Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to be a guy that's going to find his game that he once was. And you take a look at it for the Kings. If Darcy Kuemper falters, if he fails, they're not out nearly as much as the Capitals are. They could bury him down in the AHL. It wouldn't matter. This has huge implications for the Capitals. The LA Kings have made a significant move in the goaltending department when they signed him. General manager Rob Blake emphasized that the team was always planning to add a goaltender this summer, and Kuemper's acquisition solidifies his role as a key player for the Kings going forward. The team is confident in Kuemper's character, fit within the organization and playing style, and they expect him to make a significant impact in the upcoming season. And what was it all about here? Acquiring Darcy Kuemper from the Caps, which will yield $3.25 million in salary cap savings for the Kings in the short term. This trade provides the Kings with greater flexibility to address their roster needs through additional trades, free agent signings, and internal promotions. Listen, the GM of the Kings, Rob Blake, he realized he made a mistake by trading away and paying Pierre-Luc Dubois a boatload of money for a guy that fizzled, that was not nearly what he was worth getting paid, and he made it right. And that was a big win for the general manager of the Kings to acknowledge his mistake and right what was wrong. Kuemper is expected to take the lead as the number one goalie for the Kings, with David Rittich also set to receive considerable playing time. The familiarity of the Kings staff with Kuemper is seen as an advantage that will expedite his integration and development within the team. In addition to the on-ice implications, the trade provides the Kings with salary cap savings. Kuemper signed with Washington on July 13, 2022, after leading the Colorado Avalanche to the Stanley Cup. He has 3 years left on his contract with a salary cap hit of 5.25, while Dubois will be on the second year of an 8-year contract worth $68 million, with an annual cap hit of 8.5 mil through 2031. Well, just if you want to understand the significance, the magnitude of all this, why don't you think about how old you're going to be in 2031 and how this deal will most likely age like a carton of milk? If there is a remote possibility that Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to be a good player right now in 2024, going into 2025 next season, how do you think he's going to be playing in 2028, 2029? And how in the world would the Capitals ever get out of this deal short of buying him out? I mean, this is the same realm that we were dealing with Evgeny Kuznetsov. How are we going to get rid of him? We got rid of one bad problem in favor for another bad problem. Capitals fans, make no mistake about it. There is a slim chance that this pays off well for the Capitals. And if it does, in fact, not pay off, how do you get out of this? How do you fix this team, considering that a substantial amount of money is being tied up in a player that at the very best is a maybe? Tough questions for the Capitals, and I stand by my statement that GM Brian McClellan is going to have to worry about his job if this deal and his play on the team goes sour. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, we'll talk about how this whole thing happened in the first place. How is it that Darcy Kuemper was expendable? Chucky Sideburns surprised a lot of people last season and made a case that he could be the number one for the Capitals. It looks like he'll get his opportunity. I'll discuss straight ahead. Hey, Locked On Capitals fans. I want to take a moment to bring up one of our partners, the mobile game Ultimate Hockey GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise? Do you think you could run the Capitals better than the current GM, Brian McClellan? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is most definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of the team, play through the seasons, and lead it to glory. Hire the right coaches and staff, trade players or draft picks, navigate through free agency and the draft, all in a challenging and realistic game world. As a Capitals fan, you know there is no off-season. GMs are constantly making moves at every point of the year to improve their team's chances, and that's why I think you're going to love this game. Ultimate Hockey GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. By the way, Locked On and Network listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On NHL in the game store, so make sure to check it out. To download the game, visit hockeygm.app or look it up in the App Store. Ultimate Hockey GM, start your dynasty today. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team. It is every day. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. In this next segment, we're going to talk about Charlie Lindgren and ultimately how he was the biggest reason that this was even able to get pulled off. I don't think that the Capitals would have made a bold move like this if Charlie Lindgren did not play so great for this team last year. I know that that wouldn't have been the case. And it puts the Capitals in a really great position, as the Caps do not pay Charlie Lindgren a substantial amount of money. The question now, however, is how do they handle the goaltending situation going forward, as next season is the last season that Charlie Lindgren is under contract with the Capitals. Will they give him an extension? It is the belief that Clay Stevenson is ultimately the long-term answer in net for the Capitals. There is a lot of intriguing storylines here. But talking about him, Charlie Lindgren and what he meant to this team. Lindgren provided the Capitals with capable goaltending and played a significant role in the team's playoff qualification. In his last 10 games of the regular season, he posted a .910 save percentage and a 2.65 goals against. Known for his butterfly style and above average lateral quickness, Lindgren competes to stop pucks in any way necessary. In a recent game he played towards the end of the season, he faced 289 shots, stopping 263 and allowing 26 goals. That was a segment of games that he played. Washington's penalty kill percentage is around 80%, and Lindgren has been a key contributor to the team's success in this aspect. So he has been huge for this team. And the segment that they talked about, he faced 289 shots, stopping 263, allowing 26. Huge for the Capitals. And his great play is ultimately why the Capitals even made it to the playoffs, period. Make no mistake about it, if it wasn't for Charlie Lindgren last year, there is no chance the Capitals would have made it to the playoffs. Lindgren starting 28 of 35 games and going 16-10, 3-2 with a .908 save percentage with 4 shutouts. Absolutely clutch for the Capitals, putting the Capitals in the position that they're at. Some of his highlights: Lindgren had a breakout season at 30 years old, leading the NHL in shutouts, finishing in the top 10 in save percentage and goals against average. He provided the Capitals with quality starts in 29 of his 48 starts, showcasing his consistency and reliability. But there were challenges for Charlie Lindgren. It wasn't a total Cinderella story. In the playoffs, Lindgren faced challenges and fell short of expectations, with the team needing him to be exceptional against the Rangers. Some statistical models showed discrepancies between expected and actual performance, highlighted areas for potential improvement. His performance in shootouts was a point of concern, as he went 1-4, stopping only 11 of 19 shots faced in the shootouts. So there are some areas that he needs to clean up, and he is the guy that took the reins and will be the number one next season. Overall, it seems like Lindgren had an impressive regular season, contributing significantly to the Capitals' success. However, there are areas of improvement needed, particularly in maintaining consistency in high-pressure situations such as playoffs and shootouts. But he got him to the playoffs. That was half the battle. I ultimately think that the Capitals are in a good position right now in the netminding department. It's one of the things I've spoke about on the show for the longest time, is that this team has a luxury of wealth in the netminding department. It was Darcy Kuemper for a while there, Charlie Lindgren, Hunter Shepard, Clay Stevenson, Mitchell Gibson, Garen Bjorklund, Antoine Keller, all the way down the pipeline, that they will be in a good position for years to come. I said it before, I had absolutely no problem with Hunter Shepard taking over as the number one, if something crazy happened, or number two, that he's played that well. And Clay Stevenson as well vacillated between number one and number two with Hunter Shepard in the AHL. A really great position for the Capitals to be in. It is a vote of confidence for sure by Brian McClellan to Charlie Lindgren to take on that big role. Like, hey kids, the new kids on the team here, this is up to you to prove your worth. I'm talking to you, Lindgren and Shepard. Make me believe that I made a good decision, that I did something crazy, that a lot of people said I did a crazy thing by trading Darcy Kuemper out to the Kings for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Make me believe that that was a good decision. That's where the Capitals are at, because there is a whole lot of questions about this deal. And ultimately, what was Brian McClellan thinking? A lot of people are thinking that is, what were you thinking? That Pierre-Luc Dubois, in a lot of ways, was radioactive. And there was a lot of questions about how the Kings were going to move him out before July 1st, when it would have been that much more difficult. But it's the Capitals' challenge right now. And historically, the Capitals have had reclamation projects. You saw Sonny Milano, when he came to this team, really upped his game. Historically, you take a look at it, Devontae Smith-Pelly, Brett Conley, that there have been guys that have come to this team and showed that they are much better than that. Now, those guys are not in the same realm as a Pierre-Luc Dubois. Make no mistake about it. The Capitals made the big trade for him because they think they are getting an elite center, a center to play with Alex Ovechkin. That's what this is about. That's what the Capitals are going to be about until Alex Ovechkin hangs up the skates, is chasing down Gretzky. That's what this is about. Don't candy coat this any particular way. I think Ovechkin was huge in this. On breakdown day, he said that he lacked chemistry with the centers. And who are the centers that we're talking about here? Strome in particular. And we saw different ones factor through there. McMichael, LaPierre, Dowd briefly there. That he felt like it was a revolving door at the center position. And I think that that's what he did. He went out and got that big player that ostensibly is going to fix what ails the Capitals up the middle. Will it actually pay dividends? Time will only tell. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, we will talk about another vote of confidence in Hunter Shepard. And it's way overdue. I think that he deserved this opportunity potentially years ago. What kind of role will Hunter Shepard take on with the Capitals next season? I'll discuss straight ahead. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the playing field in net, we kind of see how it's going to play out for the Capitals. I don't think it's going to be a real mystery that it's going to be Charlie Lindgren as number one and Hunter Shepard as number two. But there is a caveat to this whole scenario, is Clay Stevenson. The one thing I know is that the Capitals are very hot on Clay Stevenson. I think that he is going to be the long-term answer in net. And I ultimately think that Clay Stevenson will battle Hunter Shepard for that number two job. But if not, it's going to be Hunter Shepard being the number two on the Capitals and Clay Stevenson being number one down in Hershey. But there will be a battle. But the clear-cut favorite right now, as I record this, is Hunter Shepard as the number two. And I think he deserves it. Let's take a look at the back of his hockey card before we even get going here. During the regular season in the 23-24 season, in 34 games played, he had 27 wins, 4 losses, and 3 overtime losses. Quite a record. And like I say, he vacillated between him and Clay Stevenson as the number one and number two netminders in all of the AHL for a Lions share of the season. Taking a look at him in 22, 23, and 33 games played, a 28-5 record. So the proof's in the pudding. He has killed it at every stop. When he played in UMD, at UMD, he was great. Let's take a look at what he's done in the Calder Cup. For example, this season, in 18 games played in the Calder Cup playoffs, he has 11-6-0 record. huge for the Capitals. What did he mean for the Capitals last season? The Calder Cup in 20 games played, he had a 14-6-0 record. So in total in the playoffs, a 25-12-0 record. There is a lot to like about his game. I think, again, I've spoke about this even last summer, that it's time for Hunter Shepard. I felt that Darcy Kuemper and Charlie Lindgren, for that matter, were expendable. A lot of questions in that regard, like I talked about in the second segment, how this will all play out. Will Charlie Lindgren get an extension for the Capitals, or is there the remote possibility that next season, the following season, that is that it could potentially be Hunter Shepard and Clay Stevenson as number one and number two? Crazier things have happened, but let's take a look at what kind of player Hunter Shepard is. A dynamite player, a dynamic player to be sure. Shepard finished the season with a remarkable 27-4-3 record with a 1.76 goals against and a .929 save percentage and 5 shutouts. He led all the AHL in goals against average and save percentaging, making him a standout performer. He also made his NHL debut with the Capitals earlier in the season, and in 4 career games with the Caps, Shepard has a 2-1-1 record with a 3.19 goals against average and an .894 save percentage. So a very small sample size for him playing on the big team. But I think that he is up for the task at hand in a really great position for him to be in. Shepard and the rest of the Bears will take on the ice and play a big role going forward here, of course, in the Calder Cup. And the Hershey Bears rise and fall with Hunter Shepard in net. I know that he got yanked one time in favor of Clay Stevenson, but I think that was more about a momentum change that I think that Hunter Shepard will be absolutely huge. Additionally, Shepard's .838 win percentage in the regular season established a new single season record in Bears history, and that marks is his second highest winning percentage. So definitely up for the task. I think that his stats speak for themselves. And if you're watching the Hershey Bears play, if you're watching the Calder Cup, you know that he has been absolutely clutch. Also awarded the Jack Butterfield Trophy as playoff MVP after starting 20 postseason contests for Hershey and posting a 14-6 record with a 2.27 goals against. That was huge. That was en route, 3 shutouts en route to the franchise's 12th Calder Cup championship. This guy is huge. I think that he should have had his opportunity before, but now this is going to be his time to shine. Like I said, it is not going to be a give me. It's not going to be something that's handed out to him. This is something that he's going to have to earn, as it is my perception that he will battle it out with Clay Stevenson as the number 2. And, you know, stranger things have happened. It could potentially happen. There's a lot at stake for the Capitals in net. There's a lot at stake with Pierre-Luc Dubois. How will that deal play out? Capitals fans, hit me up on Twitter at DanCaps218, at LockedOnCaps, or on YouTube. How do you think the Pierre-Luc Dubois deal is going to pay off? Are you overly optimistic about it? Do you have the feeling of what are you thinking, GM Brian McClellan? There's not a lot of positivity. I'm going to be honest to you on social media surrounding this, unless it's just a leap of faith. Like, hey, wishing him the best on the new team. Other than that, it is going to be a daunting task for the Capitals and how things will play out on the team next season. Listen, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, your only daily year-round podcast covering the Washington Capitals. And I want to thank all of you that listen on the audio side and watch this on YouTube. You are ultimately what makes this show successful. When you're done here, head on over to Locked On's 24/7 streaming channel, available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app and on YouTube. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.